Francene.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. So good to see you.
Welcome.
Well, Frank, what a great studio.
I know.
You must love working here.
I do.
One. Francene Marie, it sure is good to have you finally on Life in the Carolinas.
Why, thank you, dear kind sir. I have to say that because we're in the South. Or is it overdoing it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, you and I talk quite often. You don't always talk that way. Talk any way you want to. I mean, we are in the South, in the Carolinas, but you're from not here, are you?
I am from a place called, born in Chicago,
Right.
raised in Missouri where they make real barbecue.
You really shouldn't be saying that now, but that's okay.
I know. I've had to school a couple of people on what barbecue is because depends on what region you're in. When you say barbecue, some people think, oh, that's chicken.
Right.
Or that is chopped beef.
Yeah.
No,
or
that's a rib.
pork. For you, it's a rib.
It's a rib. If you don't have a
Right.
rib and you invite me to your barbecue, we're going to have a problem.
Well, it's one thing's for sure. One thing's for sure. You may not be from here, but you certainly are part of here now. And it's been for a long time, Francene. Folks, this was exciting how this came about because our interview today was, well, I guess it was meant to happen because you were on my calendar to call to schedule an interview. I was on your calendar. You called me one day and you said, hey, Carl, let's do the show. And I said,
I'm going to be in town. And
well, I said that, but I also said, hey, you're on my list. Let's do the show for Life in the Carolinas, but let's do it at the same time.
which is how we've always operated.
Just tell our audience. Your audience knows what you do, but tell our audience, what do you do, Francene Marie?
So I've got this title. It's called Public Affairs Director, Host, Producer. I'm also on the sales team. So in broadcasting, you have to be a jack of all trades or a Jill of all trades, exactly. Right. So as I'm coming on my 23rd year in broadcasting, I am now with Beasley Media Group, Charlotte-based, and we used to be CBS Radio. So for 23 years, I've been doing the Francene Marie Show, and I remember doing interviews with you.
That's right.
The unique part about me, and I call it a pleasure and an honor, is that I am the first African-American female to air on predominantly non-African-American stations. And that's pretty unique when you think about how the dynamic is always built. For this demographic, we'll have this host. For this demographic, we'll have this host. But I was able to cross over. And I think that's the beauty of us as people, is that, so what, you don't look like the people that you talk to? It's okay. Because we all have these stories that are relatable. So I will get guests on from A to Z, and I have this knack, I have this ability. It's almost like truth serum that people start talking and they let it out because they trust me. And that's one thing in media that's never been touted as normal, is like, you don't trust the media, but you can trust me.
I think that's the thing. I think you've tapped into the human element. So it really doesn't matter. Truthfully, it doesn't matter what color we are. When it comes to a good story, it's like good music. When I go to a jazz club and I'm listening to this wonderful jazz music, or the blues, or bluegrass, or whatever it might be, I'm listening to the music and I'm taking that in. And who's playing, I'm not going to say I don't care, because I usually go to listen to people that I enjoy. So I care enough to go support them. So, but as it turns out, they look different, and it's not just black and white, it could be from another part of the world, one of the shades of black or white, which I guess that's it, right? I mean, we're a shade of all of those things. So.
We are. But I believe that to the core, we all have a good side to us.
I think so.
But we have to share that good side with everyone. My mom played this cruel trick on me, but it was an experiment. When I was growing up, she never mentioned race at all in my entire life. Never. And when she died, I was probably 27 years old. An aunt sent me a picture of her in Time magazine when things weren't so great between the races. But she was determined, in her white gloves and her hat and her beautiful dresses, because she was a school teacher, that she was going to get my brother baptized at a Presbyterian church. That was her goal. And she stood there so proudly with my brother before I was born and made Time Magazine. Why don't you mention that? That was pivotal.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing
But I think
story.
it was weird that she never mentioned race. I think she wanted me to have this fair playing ground where I wasn't judging others.
But was she doing it for you, or was that simply who she was, and you benefited from that?
I benefited from her.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's who she was.
Yeah.
So she wasn't doing it. She had no agenda. I find that good people are good people.
Yeah.
So when I look at Gandhi, I look at, people around the world and over the centuries who have influenced our lives. Those folk, when you read their writings, most of those conversations, most of those thoughts were about the human being, not about the color of the human being. I couldn't believe this. I didn't even know Muhammad Ali had a perfume or a cologne, and you were the spokesperson. Tell me one of those stories and you found yourself a little surprised.
Surprisingly, Joe Biden. Surprisingly, Maya Angelou. Surprisingly, some actresses, Hollywood actresses, that you're so excited before the interview that when the interview happens, it's like they're just like me.
Right.
They flub their words just like me. It's almost like you have a recipe when you do a show. You have this format that you're going to have, but then within the recipe, the measurements change.
That's right.
The chemistry changes. And then there's a story that you couldn't have planned.
It evolves. I mean, how many interviews over the years have you done?
Okay, started in 1996.
Right.
23 years.
Yes.
1 week show, so that's four.
And each show I've got
4 interviews per 1 hour.
4 interviews go into that 1 hour show. Anyway,
Let's say 1 million.
Well,
let's go with 1 million.
It may not be but it's a lot of a lot of interviews. As we begin to talk about sharing your story on TV, I couldn't believe this. I didn't even know Muhammad Ali had a perfume or a cologne, and you were the spokesperson.
I was his model. It was for a short stint.
Yeah, but anyway, but it was just one of those things that I thought about, and not only said, gee, that's neat that Francene did that, but it was Muhammad Ali. So it was this character, this person in our American history that I found to be fascinating, that you actually did that. And then the stories that have came from that. Why are these stories so important?
I have this energy within me that can't be fed anyplace else that I know of. My days are so different each and every day. I meet new people each and every day. The stories that I hear are so mind-blowing and so life-changing that I don't know if I could do anything else. I love this so much. It serves its purpose in this business.
Right.
Because when my guests will sit across from me, like I said, not only will they be able to trust me, but I will make you sound like a brain surgeon. The way I position the questions, by the time you hear it, you'll know I put love in it.
And that matters, doesn't it?
It does.
Part of my life also is sharing Christmas stories, and I've done it for the past 10 years. And there was a big smile that came upon my face when I saw a piece of publicity that had your picture tied to a great show in Charlotte. And I said, is that Francene? I understand Father Christmas. Do we now have a Mother Christmas? And it's my pal Francene.
Mother Christmas. That was probably the funnest gig, job, performance on stage, hundreds of people in the audience, where I can wear a magnificent long dress and rhinestone earrings. I've gone to heaven. I've gone to heaven.
I knew you were having so much fun with that. And what was the event again?
It was the magic of Christmas, but you have to say like the magic of Christmas at the Night Theater. Santa Claus. I got to dance on stage with Santa Claus.
I saw that.
How close can you get to Santa Claus?
Yeah, it's pretty darn close.
Yeah, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph.
And the music?
Oh, Christopher James Lee's the resident conductor of the Charlotte Symphony Orchestra, because that's how the program was created. And I interviewed Christopher. That's how it started. I interviewed Christopher because he was new to town as the resident conductor, and I said, bring him on. He was so much fun. We hit it off. He's like, I'd love to work with you. I'm like, I'd love to work with you too.
And that's how it happened.
And then the email came through, and I'm like, yes, 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 yes.
And there you were.
Can you work 10 days for the magic of Christmas? Yes.
So are you already set to do it for next year?
I haven't got the email yet.
No.
I haven't got the email yet.
All right.
But if you're listening, I'm ready.
We'll have to send this clip to Christopher. That's good. Well, I heard nothing but good things about it. To me, part of the Francene story is not just who you've been, but who you are and who you are becoming.
And I went to, I don't know if you believe in all these folks that can tell you the future, but someone was reading my horoscope and they said, well, you're this, you're that, and the other. You're not just one sign. You're all three. You're a little complicated, but here goes. Here's who you are. They said that I chose to become awesome in my 60s. And I said, I'll be 60 in 2 months.
Wow.
And it literally happened.
Well, I could have told you that years ago. But I
had to pay him. See, the information was free.
Yeah, but mine is purely from observation.
Okay.
My thoughts about Francine Marie is from years of watching what you do and listening to what you say, hearing the stories that are brought to life and seeing how people respond to those. That, to me, is your story. When you have years of planting all those wonderful seeds, the harvest will surely come. And so your story is evolving from all of those wonderful experiences.
Well, you will say you have been a delight, and I have been a delight.
Well, you certainly have, Francine. This has been, I just am so happy that you agreed to do the show.
Yeah, and then I need to write a book. Ooh.
Yes, you should.
But the last book will be a tell-all book.
All?
Tell-all.
Everything?
Everything. I know.
I don't know what.
That book would be so thick.
What channel are you going to put that one on?
Some of it's Lifetime, some of it's not.
Yeah, that's right. But all of it real time. Great. Good to be with you, Francine.
Thanks so much.
I couldn't believe this. I didn't even know Muhammad Ali had a perfume or a cologne.